But this is kind of about our journey at Bennington College, how we tried to improve communication between our office, institutional and I'm a low-code developer. I don't really have any background or training. I'm an accidental database manager who are sitting in the audience, and I'm a dad to 3 kiddos, 7, 9, and 11. That's us just on a hike, and so having a good time. So what is the problem that we had? So the problem was we needed to let our colleagues in the president's office know that there was some action needed. There's a few things, whether that's an acknowledgement for a gift, a condolence note if an alum died, maybe sending that to the family, also some birthday greetings. So that was one thing that we wanted to do. We needed to share that content with the president's office, and we wanted it to get back into Razor's Edge NXT. And where we really started was kind of here, just trying to get out, or no, you're not hearing me at all. Okay, good. I'm back. And
now
sorry, we'll get out of that, and maybe that was some of the issue here. And I'll stop sharing. So anyway, so where we kind of wanted to get was a place where we could share all that information throughout, and actually and share that easily and get it back into Razor's Edge NXT. So I talked with some colleagues in the president's office, talked with some colleagues in my office. And so this is kind of the process that we came up with. It's really largely based on this create an acknowledgement letter from an add-in button on the gift record. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of walk through some of the process, and all of the resources and stuff are in the resource notes. And so don't worry about writing furious notes. There's links to all the templates and all of that as well. So with that, here we go. This is kind of where we started. Kind of things that you'll need to do before we really get started in building those flows are creating your letter template. There's plenty of instructions on that to do that. Create a primary folder in SharePoint. If you're a Microsoft shop, this is where you'd want to do it. We're actually a Google Workspace school, so we created or a Google Drive folder for this. So wherever you need to put that, just create that in advance. That's something to do. You can register your application with Sky Developer. I'll kind of just show you real quick. When you get in a Sky Developer account, which is free to create, you can hit add, and there's just a few buttons, a few things to fill out to put in there. I won't go through that anymore. That's that's fairly straightforward to do, and also outlined right here. Building your connections, again, I'm just going to let you watch through that. Again, if you're using Google, because we are a Google shop and the president's office really wanted to work in Google Sheets and Google Docs, just change that out, that connection out. So now we'll kind of go into the flow that I already have. And one thing that I will also mention that we chose to do is we chose to put this on a constituent record versus a gift record. That way, you know, for folks who give through a donor advised fund or maybe a family foundation, it's easier to get the information about them, who we're sending to. This isn't a tax receipt or anything like that, so we don't have to worry too much. We really want that donor information to come through. So I've imported the flow and then added some things that we needed for our template that we had before, just to give some background information to the folks in the president's office who maybe don't know the donors as well, and just some information in case they want to write you know, a more customized note. So some of these, you know, the dates, so we're getting some constituent information, name formats, you know, primary addressee, salutation. And as I said, we put this on the constituent record, so we're getting their latest gift, and we're assuming that it's really just one. There may be more than one, but there's a review process where we could adjust that if we needed to. Then we're getting kind of all that gift information and the fundraiser information, which we're putting in. And that gets us kind of down to that populate your acknowledgement template. So that is something that we have created in Word, and you can kind of see that we've picked some variables, some fields directly from the connectors in Razor's Edge RENXT, the amount, a variety of things here to populate that template. And then we, instead of saving this in the SharePoint, we save it in Google Drive. And so kind of name it so that we know we have the donor's name in there, so it's easy to figure out which one it is. But we're also able to create a file link from that using some information. And so when we create a constituent action to show that something needs to be done, we're also able to use that link and put it on as an attachment. From there, we also then create an item on a SharePoint list. So this is kind of a mix and match, hashed together of different Microsoft and Google connectors. And that's a list in SharePoint for our internal review in the Institutional Advancement Office. And that will then send an email to the requester. And so what we're going to do really quick to show this in action is jump over to my record and live demo. So here's hoping that this works for us. But so my add-in is here. And so I'm going to hit presidential acknowledgement. And it does take a second for this to run through, and it might even take a little bit longer since I'm sharing my screen and presenting. So hopefully we will see that. There we are. It popped up in the corner. Your letter's been created. Check your email for more details. I'm not going to check my email right here just because I have a gazillion emails. But what it would do is bring me over here And we'll reload the page, and hopefully we'll see this item right here. It's got some information. I'm sure I have an email, but what I can do, there's a link to the letter. I will open this and just see some information to show you what that looks like. And we'll see if it pops up in a second here. So you can see there's a bunch of kind of information right at the top. So that, donor name, prospect manager, email, and kind of a standard letter that we can then edit. The great thing about it being a Google Doc and linked is any edits that are made are going to be there. So if anybody goes back to that action that we created earlier, all those changes will be there because it's linked to this Google Doc. And one thing that I realized I neglected to show you is the add-in, kind of portion here. So if we go over to the add-ins, you would add an add-in right here and could pick where you're going to put that. For this one, it was a constituent page action. And your URL, once you have saved your flow, your URL is going to be here. But word of caution, you need to encode that URL. There's urlencoder.org is what I use. Because when you come back to that add-in, you're going to put that encoded URL kind of right in here. And that's how you're adding that add-in. So this one, you just really need to make sure that it's encoded. So I'm here, I've reviewed the letter, and it is magnificent and ready to go to the president's office. So what I will do here is click, I'm going to change this to yes. What we'll see here is that when I modify an item on that SharePoint list and the review complete is equal to yes, it's going to insert a row on a shared president's office and IA kind of stewardship document. And it's going to send an email to my colleagues in the president's office to say, hey, you've got this acknowledgement that you need to take care of. So hopefully, if we reload this, we will see that pop up. Sorry for it taking a second here, and here we are. So this is something that they can look for and see if it's in here. Hidden in between here, I have an action ID, which will obviously has kind of been pulled throughout in these flows, but that's going to be used later. So let's just say VB Dev Days test and send method, email, and we'll call it complete. So there's no trigger in Google Sheets. So what I had to do was make a third and final flow here. And this really just runs on a schedule to look for that yes within that Google Sheet. And I'm going to try to kick that off to show the whole process here. And I thought I had all these loaded so that it would go a little bit faster, but apparently some of them timed out. So we will test this here. Hopefully it will say success. I already ran successfully. And so there it goes. It's been deleted. If I come over to my record and refresh it, we should see that the action that was created in that first flow is now closed out. Any information that I've added is going to be in there. And so it's all recorded, and there'll be a link to the letter. So if there were any changes made, or if there are any changes made going forward, that will show up. So here, presidential acknowledgement for recent gift is the action that was added. Handwritten notes, if applicable. You know, and here's the link to that Google Drive document. So with that, I know that was kind of a quick run through, but really that kind of got what we needed in terms of, and I'm going to try, see if this can share. I can turn myself back on again or not, but and if it gets garbled, just wave or something. There we go. Hopefully that's better. So now it's really kind of putting it right in their lap so that they can do, you know, they can work in a place where they're comfortable, but it still meets all of our needs. Nothing's getting lost in email. So I did that, and that one's just for the acknowledgement letter. We follow the exact same process for condolence notes. We have a slightly different one for those birthday greetings that I kind of mentioned, but really what the great part of it is, there's that one Google sheet that they can work on and go through. So thanks for sitting through that. If there are any questions, I wasn't exactly paying attention to the chat while I was presenting. So if there are any questions, feel free to shoot them in the chat, or find me at another time, and I'd happy to talk about it. The resources do have links to all three of these flows. So, and let's see, might work for creating a pledge document. I'm sure that it could, if you adjusted it. Yep. So, I think we're about at time, so I don't want to. And Joel, yes, it did land as a Word doc on Google Drive. We have Google Drive for desktop, kind of, and so you're able to save, you know, if you put that .docx extension on there, we're able to access it through the File Explorer, and it will open in Word. How long did it take me from starting out the automation to building that flow? Gosh, that's always a question people ask me, like, how long have you been doing this? And I don't ever remember. I want to say 2020 is when I started. And this one was kind of a need. And I maybe did this in fall of 2022. So maybe 2 years. I feel like I might have been able to do it sooner, but it just didn't have the time. So Can you do this in bulk, like link to a query? For if you're talking about for multiple letters, probably not. You may be able to do it in terms of, you know, I think that's more of the mail merge like. So, you know, I think you might want to do a slightly different process. These are more for one-offs. We don't have that many. So that's kind of what I would say about that, but I'd be happy to talk more with you, Teresa, if you have further questions or want to talk through a situation. So, and if there are no other questions, thank you very much for coming. I hope you have a great Dev Days. Can you add a button to the opportunities tile? Let me look what the extension points are. It's a good question. It appears that you can. So yes, look at that. All right, look forward to seeing you all throughout. And if you want to hear more, I think I'm presenting again tomorrow afternoon.